All right. I've got to figure all of this out. I hung these two pictures up today just to make it a little better while we discuss what's happening there. So hope everybody is enjoying their week. I'm going to try to fix this chair. Got the old crutches rocking and rolling. Drink of the night is Weller and Coke Zero. So I would like 30 questions sitting in queue. First one, can you give some easy pointers to new hobbyists that you wish someone would have given you back in the day? Some of the things that I wish I would have knew back in the day was definitely research. And something that applies to pretty much everything is prior planning prevents poor performance. And if we plan for whatever it is we're doing in the aquarium hobby, whether it's a tank or it's a paludarium, or maybe it's something outside of the aquarium hobby, if you are planning, it is just far better execution-wise than it would be for anything else. So right off the bat, really good question. So a lot of research. And I feel like we still lack that in terms of how we are, not only as a society, but as we are as human beings. We just go, we know it. It's fine. It's fine. Jan Shell, the advice you gave me worked wonders. Well, that's awesome. I guess Fab4 was hooking it up there. So while you're selling the 220, what is your vision for that space? Tank, substrate, hardscape, plants, lights, and fish stock. So cool deal. Tank has sold already. Person already paid. And being back in Oklahoma is fantastic for the most part. Now, with the crutches, I'll find out more tomorrow, but we'll get to that in a minute. So here will be a 6-foot, 22 by 22 rimless aquarium. So the idea is I'm not going to have the massive space that I had prior to. So it came out way too far. There was no way it was coming in here. It was just going to take up a lot of space. And eventually you'll see all the room if you follow me on Instagram, and you'll see some other weird stuff that I like to post recently. But I'm going to try and not replicate in the same way, because I don't like doing things the same way over and over again. We have to evolve. We have to further our creative abilities in whatever it is we do, right? So my thought is, well, I'm going to still do Tropheus, and the Dart and I are currently in a 36-gallon. So I want to find something that really pops. It will be behind us in all of the lives and a lot of videos, and we'll get to that in a few moments. So yeah, that's going to be a 72 by 22 by 22, ultra clear, all glass, super beautiful tank, white stand. And I've got brand new lights coming into this aquarium genre love of hobbiness that is known of me. And I've been a huge proponent of Current USA. I've been a huge proponent of, Zet Light and Fluval Plant 3.0. But I've been doing some research, been doing a little chitty chats, and I've tried out a lot of lights. And ultimately, we're going to change it up a little bit. Jan, I am glad that the advice I gave you saved your fish. There's nothing better in what we do than to hear the positive. So before I get into the meat and juicy parts, I want to talk about that. Start talking about the positive, man. Let's just use, somebody give me their favorite restaurant. KG Cichlids, a shop light for $20 at Walmart. Works in some aspects, but we'll get to it in a minute. So, favorite restaurant, somebody type it in, don't care what it is. A bubble tea place. Okay, so Fab4 was over, and so was Radical Reefs, and Wendy, myself, and those two gentlemen, we went out to a bubble tea place in Outback, and we had some of the most fantastic service of all time. Who knew? Who did I tell? No one, right? So the idea for me is, why don't we tell more of the positive, right? So let's say there is this new product on Amazon, right? I'll use Amazon for an example. And you're like, oh my goodness, I saw the ads. It looks good. The tech looks good. Boom. 3 stars, 2 reviews. Product's been out for a year. How many other people have purchased this product potentially and have some fantastic reviews? They just don't have the time to talk about it. That's the problem. We don't talk about the positive. And that's the revolution we see in the world. It's like, it's bad. This is bad. You're bad. I'm bad. That's bad. I had bad service there. I had bad service at Chuck E. Cheese. My steak was dry. But you didn't talk about how Outback cooked your steak phenomenally, right? You never do. And there's a saying in sales, it's, for every one bad experience, they tell 10 people, and those 10 people tell 10 people, and it just keeps perpetuating itself. Talk about the positive, man. Good grief. Let's see. There's a lot of great questions. So you still thinking about an outdoor pond? Thinking? No, it is happening. It is, I had a call Monday with a pond place here in Oklahoma talking about the reason why I want to do the specific pond I want to do. And that's going to be in itself a whole thing, because the reason why I want to do exactly what it is I want to do with that specific pond is because at some point I'm going to move again, and people will say, oh, don't do it, man. You're going to have to. But I think the way that I'm looking at doing it, how I'm going to do it, is very sustainable to a lot of people in the aquarium industry, or just wanting to get into a body of water outside, right? So if you dug a pond straight down, a lot of work, you put in a couple fish, 3 years later, you don't like it. Now you got to either fill it in, take it out. You lost all that time. You lost all that money. So I'm looking at something that I can do where I cut losing 100% of time and 100% of money that I put into this project. So definitely in the making, and definitely working on it running all year round here in Oklahoma. And it does get very cold here. Not cold like it would in New York or Minnesota or Seattle, but it gets cold. Let's see. Shop light for $20 at Walmart for aquarium. You can, as long as your fish do not require any specific sort of light and you don't care what it looks like. Is it possible to run those? Absolutely. And should you? That's up to you. That is completely up to you. You had a cool looking magnetic aquarium glass cleaner in one of your videos. What was the brand and best place to pick one up? It's called Flipper. It is not cheap. I purchased, I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I purchased 2 and received 2. Oh, received 3. I have 5. Fantastic. I love it. The only thing it doesn't do is float. And that's why MagFloat has this patent, right? Like, you can never make a cleaner that floats, bruh, that has a magnet. So Flipper came up with this idea where you pop it off and you rotate it around, or you just pop it off, flip it, and it literally goes, and now you can blade the glass or flip it back to, the pad in order to scrape algae. Very, very fantastic, very easy, and the magnet is phenomenal. Any tips for setting up a new fish room? Any pitfalls to avoid? Plan this, Drew overlay. Plan it out. Write it down. Do not do manual water changes. Figure out how to plumb it properly so that you are minimizing the amount of effort you are putting in doing water changes and the mundane, because I promise you the allure and the exciting feeling that you get for setting up this fish room to maybe potentially breed and to potentially make more money, more time you spend doing those things is the less time you spend making money or enjoying what it is you're doing. So if you're setting up 10 tanks or you're setting up 100 tanks, think of auto top-offs, auto water changes, and then if you need to do something specific to a certain set of tanks, great. Also be aware that if you are putting water in, you don't want water to travel all the way through each aquarium, right? Because if there's an illness, you don't want it to cross-contaminate. So there's a lot of different things that you can do in terms of sponge filters, which I'm not a huge fan of, but in that case, it works very well. Fish Tank Barn said, auto changes are a game changer. All right, let's see. All right. Now that you are settled in and just working through tedious small things, new tanks and setups, what are 5 fish that are on your bucket list since you have the support needed at home? 5 fish on my bucket list. I don't think I have 5 fish on my bucket list. I mean, I was talking about this today. I really want to keep a petrochromis. I've been talking about this for a year plus. But at the end of the day, I can never pull a trigger because that's all that's going in there. And at the end of that day, there probably is only going to be 1 or 2 fish. So I've really got to think about it. The other, I would like to keep a large cichlid. So if I ever get to a point where I'm able to build a recreational pond, and I mean like rec pond where I can go into most of it, I'm thinking of the emperor cichlid, and I doubt it will happen because it would probably bite me and hurt really bad multiple times if I decided to swim. So those are 2 fish. Petrochromis is a kind of a genre. The emperor cichlid is a specific fish. And then there's just a couple of fish that I really want to see in person. Like I am looking for a baby whale. You can look it up. A baby whale. It's ugly, but it's different. I want it in the Congo tank. I was talking to Ted Judy and just thought it was really fantastic to have in this aquarium. I did lose quite a bit of Congo tetras in the move, and ultimately I need to replenish those, but that's happening. That's in the works. The Zen Ginger. Howdy, Jay, you crazy man. I guess I can be crazy at times. So let's talk about the move real quick. I think this is a personal thing, but one of the most difficult parts for me moving is finding a place to get the luxurious haircut. Because I get so used to something specific. And well, here's a crazy part. My barber in Texas, her husband got COVID and he was fine. He got through it. He was, there was no major issues. But she had to quarantine for 14 days, so therefore I wasn't able to get a haircut. So I just said, heck with that. I'm going to just hold off. And then when I got here, I found this place called Tran Barber. And it's really cool that this Vietnamese guy created this traditional barbershop with like a modern-esque feel. It's got foosball and stuff in it. But the logo, you go in and you don't expect it to be Tran, who is by far very funny. And the older Vietnamese gentleman that cut my hair was fantastic. So I will be going back to see Tran. Holly Gibbs, understand completely, did hair for 26 years. People don't realize that. Like that is one thing that I'm very serious about. It is therapeutic for me to get a haircut and to get a tight fade that doesn't have all this wonkiness to it is very hard sometimes. So enough of that. The move wasn't bad. I had a lot of support. I still have a lot of support. And, Wendy has been supporting me a ton here and getting things organized, which is why I'm able to sit here. But July 4th, I was in the attic about, 3/4 of the way. I think I was like 3 or 4 stairs down. And I decided that I could just fly down the stairs. And I jacked up my foot. They say it's not broken and that's a bad thing, that it probably should have been broken. I go tomorrow, so I'll find out more. Either way, I'm barely sleeping. The pain is excruciating. I don't like pain meds. They gave me 5. I took those 5 since July 4th. I spaced them out, and that was it. And so now it's an ibuprofen type thing, and I'm not a huge fan of just doing ibuprofen all the time because of just killing it with the stomach. So it's just a mess, but there's a positive behind it. And I'll talk about this before we start opening this and I answer a few more questions. And somebody just asked, what's the truth about? The truth is anything you want to know. Anything you want to know, you asked, I'll give you the truth. That's it, plain and simple, the truth. It's my truths. They're my truths to tell, whether it's about aquariums, whether it's about personal life, whether it's about the military history that I went through, whether it's about whatever. That in itself is it. Did you move to Oklahoma City and why? So let me talk about the positivity that I found within this foot thing, and then I'll talk about that because it's perfect segue to what I just said. So, gosh darn it, was I very upset. I think I was apologizing to everybody. Like, I'm sorry this happened, because it pulled away my ability to carry my weight. And if you know me personally, if I am unable to carry my weight in whatever it is that I can do, I am very, very hard on myself. So when I take that coupled with the most excruciating pain that I think I felt in terms of the abundance and longevity, it was very hard for me. I kept saying, why? This is stupid. It should have never happened. Why did this happen? This is ridiculous. This is dumb. Why couldn't it just be, my hand? Or why couldn't I fell on my back? There were so many things that I thought. But then I was having a conversation sitting on the couch, and I said, what's crazy is it's my left. It's my left ankle. My right side, I've had knee surgery. I've had foot surgery. I've had a broken foot. I've got a lot of issues with my right knee, my whole right side from hip down to toes. And it's always made it very difficult for me to do certain exercises or motions where I would then favor my left leg. Even to the point in high school when I blew reverse out in my car from doing neutral drops, thinking I was cool. And I had to use my left leg to pull out of parking spots. Like I would push out of parking spots. So my left leg became far stronger than my right. Well, now there's a balance happening. And so I looked at it in the sense of, one, I probably needed to slow down. There was a lot happening in a 1 year time span. And two, my right had done really nothing to improve itself over the left or to match the left strength. And I know that we have, a little bit more strength on one side of our body, and I am right-handed. So therefore I would favor my right, but I would favor my left leg and my right hand. So it made things very awkward, which also put my hips out of place a lot. So the silver lining of this is now my left leg is getting weaker, and I'm using my right to do a lot of squats, bends. I'm not putting any pressure on this left because I'm nervous that ligaments are torn. So the silver lining is I'm becoming more balanced, and it would have never happened if I didn't jack up. So somebody, Candy, thank you very much for answering that. But Shannon Miller asked, did you move to Oklahoma, and why? Yes, I moved back to Edmond, and it was because my son is up here. When I got the divorce and when we went through the transition, the one thing that I was very, very, very strongly opinionated on was I wanted that freedom, not to go really far away because that's just unfair, but to go back to a comfortable state for her. And that was back closer to her parents, which are in Oklahoma. They're wonderful people. And so that gave her the ability to feel more comfortable. She just wasn't happy in Texas either. And it was a place that I wasn't afraid to move back to in the event that I needed to. And I thought I can do the 4-hour drive there, the 4-hour drive back. It's mundane. You've heard it. I kicked the trash can, as somebody made the comment about. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't see the pain in my son's eyes, and he never said a word. He just was so excited, so ready to do just about anything the moment we got in the car. And for 8 hours of his time on a weekend to be spent in the car just wasn't fair to him. So I decided to make it work. And so we packed up, and we're now here. I'm about 10 to 15 minutes away from him, give or take, with traffic. It's phenomenal. Just hoping that that relationship of me being able to see him more than just the minimum mandated time that I'm authorized will happen, because I very much want to see him more. Melatonin gummies, sleep game changer. No, I appreciate that. The only problem with that is it's the pain. So I can fall asleep. I just wake up in the middle of the night from pain. Did you beat Turtles in Time or Super Nintendo on hard mode? Never on hard mode, ever. But I still have the game, and I still have Super Nintendo. Have had 7 surgeries in the last 3.5 years, a lot of old bones replaced, but I'm nearly bionic. Okay, let's see. Mama said petrochromas are the devil. Yes, they are. So the unboxing, the truth is still happening. And so I really want the questions to come in. And What I don't want you folks to forget is I talked a little bit before I moved about super chat and how I wanted to honor in a way those that were super chatting, because it's like, oh, hey, thanks Leonardo for the super chat. And then that's it, right? And I'm still looking for creative ways to pay homage to that. I've reached out to YouTube, and I'm going to be getting hopefully memberships here soon. It wasn't something that I was ever really like keen on like attacking, but a lot of people have made the comments, look, you need to do that. And this is a way to give back because it could be something different. So if you have ideas, please, please, please leave a message, private message, comment, whatever it is, and let me know what you think would be a great way that's not out of reach, right? There is a bunch of different things that we can do to pay homage to those folks. And doesn't mean you have to, right? It doesn't mean that you have to donate anything. It's just for those that do, I wanted to be a little bit more special than a name for a specific amount of time. So Mando is outside the closed doors. With my foot, Mando, actually, I'm resting it on this gel pillow, and Mando enjoys stealing the gel pillow from me, as he does my ice bucket. So there are some times where I need a little bit of freedom from this awesome dog that comes in and just wants to be by my side all the time. And I love it. But right now it's very difficult because when he bangs and clangs like a bull in a china shop, when he hits that ankle, it's fired up, baby. Okay. Jay, you are a great man and dad. Keep on keeping on. I don't think it's about being a great dad or great man. I think it's the right thing to do, right? If children, when you have children, I think one of the key components to it is them first, regardless of what it is. And people can say, and I'll even use this before I open this Felix, but people can say, if it was all about the children, you would have stayed in your relationship. That's not the case. If it is about the children, then you want to provide them with the best environment. And if there's a tense environment or an environment that, maybe is just lackluster in terms of what this child should be seeing, maybe it's not the best. But the idea is from there, no matter what move you make or what step you take, not I'll be watching you, the song, but it should be them. They should be the ones that are in the focus. And it is true. Like, I'm on crutches. I'm doing everything in my power to not have to use the crutches because little dude's going to want to play. And I don't want to say no to that because these are times you won't get back. And I'm not the best person. I'm not the best dad. I'm not the best man. I'm not, I've been told I'm a good example to some, and I've been told I'm a turd to others. But at the end of the day, I got to do what's right for me. And what's right for me is making sure that Liam, my son, is provided for. He has a support system, and that he understands that life is filled with so many beautiful things, but there are hardships along the way. And when he's old enough to understand, he will know the true story of what happened. And he will know that it was never him. And it was never about him putting anything on, that relationship. And so I think that that's key for me, is understanding that. And no matter what happens or what is said and what is done in this time, that the day, mostly it's dads, but it is moms too, will have that moment where there is questions and there are answers provided by one that was never given the voice, so to speak. And so I don't talk about it around Liam. There is not a lot of, could have been, should have, would have. It's all about positivity. Like, man, now it's just amazing. You get just this expansive family, and this even actually brought me closer to my family, and which is something that I needed. And ultimately that gets him closer to them. So there's a lot of silver linings and a lot of not so great things, or not so practical. Hey, dude, that's not the way to do it, bro. Like, since the turn of time, things change, evolution happens. Cardinal rules, what cardinal sins we used to talk about when I played baseball, or, the way things are supposed to be. Well, what is the way it's supposed to be, right? So you're creating your own life, you're creating your own story, and ultimately you're leaving an impact on the world each and every day that you live. So you can choose to mold yourself around everyone else and all their feelings, or if you're doing what is in the best interest of all the amazing things that you aspire to, and they are ethical and they're not about terrorizing anybody or taking anybody down, and they're about spreading, good fortune and positivity and things that you learned in the past, you could pass them forward. And what the heck? Go for it. All right. Enough of that. Enough of that. I am not getting better, Ruben Rivera, but I'm hoping one day soon. So this is Felix. Everyone say hello to Felix. So if you don't know what Felix is, we're going to find out here. So if you've got questions regarding Felix, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. I'm opening it for the first time. I legit haven't opened it. I took it out of the shipping box. I actually talked to Tom Lamb yesterday to let him know I was doing this, because ultimately this is something new to the aquarium world, especially for freshwater. Now for saltwater, there is a lot of amazing things that could be controlled or utilized in terms of artificial intelligence and cameras and things like that. But Felix is, even though I don't know if they would say it, oh, I also got that when I fell down. Yeah. Felix was designed, I think, originally as this freshwater push. And when I looked at it, it was confirmed, it was designed by Silicon Valley heads, like tech guys that were aquarium hobbyists. And then they brought in really, really intelligent aquarium knowledgeable people, so to speak, to help design it. And so for the first time, you, me, and Felix here are going to introduce ourselves. So Felix is an artificial intelligent camera system, monitoring system, and it could do some amazing things. So let's open it up, shall we? And if anybody has the ability, look at that. It even has my name. Now, before anybody goes, this is stupid. This was given to you for free because you think you're some hotshot YouTuber and you get all the cool goodies. Well, first of all, don't think I'm a hotshot YouTuber. And second of all, I actually backed this a year and a half ago or whenever it came out on, I don't even know the platform. I did one Kickstarter a long time ago and got hosed and said I would never do it again. And then George Farmer was in on the backing of Felix, and I believe George Farmer and I are friends. We've had some great conversations. We've enjoyed breakfast together, and we're not best friends, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to back Felix. So I did. I went in and I backed Felix. So that's cleared the air. So let's see what this says here. Woohoo! Oh, thank you. Dear backers and early supporters, let me start off by saying how truly thankful we are for early support of Felix Smart. Your belief in us and our vision is inspiring. For this, we will forever be grateful. Our goal with Felix has been to reimagine the aquarium experience. We wanted to challenge the status quo and explore new ideas and innovations that could help aquarists enjoy their aquarium more. We also wanted to build a product that was simple to use to encourage new hobbyists to fall in love with aquarium keeping. Your Felix Smart has been designed to be easily upgradable and expandable, and our commitment to you is that we will continue to develop innovative products, features, and tech that will lead even more convenience, value, and enjoyment to your aquarium keeping. This is only the beginning. Sincerely, Tom Lamb, CEO. Dear Jason, thank you for your support, sir. Looking forward to working with you in the future, Tom. So, you sound like the best. You sound like best friend because we had breakfast. So first of all, I love that. Didn't have to do that. That's huge for me. Now people can say, you know what? It's one of those things where I did it, but I didn't get it when they said I'd get it. They also didn't forecast COVID. They also didn't forecast China plants. They also didn't forecast a lot of manufacturing processes that would happen if Tom Lamb was in China at the time, but due to the circumstances in the world, it didn't happen. I also want to say that I'll probably be steering away from certain voices. It's come to my attention that apparently I'm insensitive to cultures, even though that is 180 degrees away from exactly what I feel about culture. So anyways, If by any chance you are truly offended by any of the voices that I do, please come to me directly. We can clear it up. And for the love of everything in this world, don't clip certain things to make it seem like something different. So here we go. I got the booklet. Will I read it? Probably. Fab4, thanks. A new dragon toy for Liam. Must post the shopping day on Instagram. All right. Liam's into dragons right now. Thank you very much, Fab4. I greatly appreciate it. So somebody's offended by my normal voice. So when I talked to Tom Lamb, I asked him a few questions, and he said that the app, Felix, that you download on your smartphone is supposed to be intuitive. So the idea was to be a lot like Apple. And whether you like Apple or not, I get it, but that's the intuitiveness to it. However, they have the open platform landscape like Android. So I'm trying to relate it to pretty much everyone in every facet. What did that say? Cancel Jay. All right. Always need a power cord, right? So we're unboxing it. We're gonna talk about it all as we go along. So what is this little doodad? Let's pop this bad boy open. Now I forgot exactly what it is that I ordered, or backed, I should say. Oh, okay. Here we go. So I'll take it out in a second, but if you look, this is a company called Sicce. They're out of England, which, okay, they do water monitoring. So right off the rip, NH3 pH. I'm going to be able to monitor it. Hey-yo, directly from Felix Smart. Do you get the concept of this? This idea of rebuying all of these test strips are crazy. And I could monitor it from a distance, and I can make changes a lot. Also, unlimited additions and add-ons and updates. I like that. I love foam. Let's see here. Oh, got a nice little package of AquaShar. I've never used it before. I don't know a ton about it other than the fact that it talks about water quality and clarity, but we shall see. So that's it. It's a little sample, I guess, you get with it. So pretty cool. Petsotics multiple aquariums. I'm offended by your real voice. Bring back the fake voices. All righty then. We're now going to pull out Felix Smart. Actually, it's pretty cool. So let me pull out this black box first. What is in the black box? More foam. Yeah, I did do this. I got the camera. I totally forgot what I backed back then, but really nifty neato. But a camera. Fully submersible. I think it's 720p. But the idea behind it to me, so Sean Baker, it's a freshwater apex basically. So I know enough about the apex. Very similar, but with a little bit more open features, I believe. I know Apex is getting that way, but this is totally open. Like literally open sourced. Super easy to use, so everybody can figure it out. But the camera is a 360-degree camera. Now, my thought is, based on what I read, is that we can then map our aquariums to understand patterns of fish, patterns of coral, the way animals react with certain deficiencies. So let's say I have a spike in ammonia, my fish start to react differently. Well, now I can start to realize and collect those data points for myself, almost in a sciencey way, to really see how fish react under certain things. This is the cool stuff that I get excited about. I absolutely love technology. I don't know how it's built, but I understand how it's utilized. And this is great. This is cool. And I'm pretty excited about it. Also, the Felix Smart can be used as a Wi-Fi pusher, but I'll get to that in a second. So I'd like to welcome JJ14G. He's a young dude, man. I love it. He's got a 14-gallon aquarium. It might be bigger now. and he's got a YouTube channel. He's doing some really cool things. So if you get a moment, just check out JJ. He is the future of fish keeping in terms of age brackets. And I really like that. That's pretty cool. So we're down to the nitty gritties. Ladies and gentlemen, Felix Smart. Felix Smart. So JJ just moved to 170 gallons. We got power. We got 6 USB. So I would assume dongles. Now, this is what I want to talk to you about, because this is what got me really excited talking to Tom Lamb and doing the research. So I've got each and every single one of the ports that I would need. Now I could run a hub off this if I'd like, but I have 8 outlets, right? 8 outlets. This is Felix Smart, baby. Look at that bad boy. Let's say I'm not a huge proponent of heaters for a specific reason. Does anybody know that reason? First of all, I don't think heaters are warranted in a ton of applications, especially in the home. But I don't like heaters for the reason that their failure rate is significant in terms of going against the success rate for me. So I'll show you an example. I've got an aquarium right there. It is 100 gallons. 0. Cooking and freezing fish. Absolutely. More so cooking than freezing, in my opinion. But cooking fish. So I want to show you this. I have 2 extreme SDCs from Sicce. Of course, I'm not using another brand. Can you see that? 78 degrees. One side is 79. So there's fluctuation in the tank with 0 heater. House is at a cool 73 degrees. And it's got a temperature probe built on my extreme SDCs. So I don't need an ugly thermometer. Now, that's that case. Let's say I got an aquarium here that's just not hitting those temperatures, and I can tell by using my power head. Well, then I would want to look at potentially a heater, right? So when I plug the heater into the Felix, I can get to the nitty gritties of shutting it down if something bad should happen, right? The fish aren't going to get electrocuted. They're not grounded. So if it busts and there's an electrical current that goes through, they're not going to get zapped erroneous. But the ability for it to cook, I can set up a notification on not only my, this is the crazy part, not only my power heads, they can send me real-time notification anywhere in the world and be like, shoot, hey, your tank's getting a little warm based on what you said. I can then immediately go into Felix, which has also pushed me a notification saying, Jason, it's time. And then I can shut that heater off anywhere in the world right from the app. I think that that's fantastic. I'm sorry. And from a redundancy aspect, it's even more phenomenal because there's so much more control that I can have over my aquarium in terms of the probes, limitless probes. Like I can just keep plugging in probes, and who knows, at some point, maybe there's a probe. So look, I got temperature, NH3, pH, limits. It's unlimited, the potential that geniuses could come up with Felix Smart. So if you're into tech and you know how to design stuff, bang. Now to get it hooked up, I have to wait for the aquarium behind me because that's the aquarium I do want to put it on. It's going to be the largest aquarium that I have, and I would really like to see its capabilities. Now, outside of that, there was something that I did want to say. It's not going to affect anybody else, but the backers, there was a slight problem. It's not going to affect me, but it comes from the Wi-Fi antenna. So what's really neat is this has a Wi-Fi antenna into it. So because of the manufacturing process and them not being able to be in the factory to see what was happening, they decided to pop this off and look, and they realized that the Wi-Fi antenna was connected to a piece of metal, Well, that degrades the signal if you know anything about, wireless signals. So that Wi-Fi signal was then just not the way it should have been. I'm literally 15, 16 inches away from a mesh network hub. Not going to affect me. But if you are, I think you said 15 feet, you're okay, the signals degrade, or 30 feet, you're probably going to need to get a Wi-Fi extender. So there's some talk on how to do these things. If you open it, of course, you void warranty, and you would open it just like that. But the idea is you don't want to open it. So they're working on just the backers. It will be completely fixed for the actual production models that come out. So it's just something I did want to clarify for one reason. The company, before it even shipped, tested it and realized that there was a problem, tracked the problem down, and then went after it. And then realized it and talked about it without hiding it. I truly respect that. And for me, it doesn't affect what I'm doing. But in all actuality, when it's the Wi-Fi signal is in the right place, the antenna, they will definitely be able to extend your Wi-Fi, which is kind of cool. So mind blown, how cool. I would love this. So it's like Neptune, but better. Now, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that at all. And it's not because I'm in an industry where I should be partial to that. Or indifferent. It's just different all around. So I don't think one is better than the other. I think I got behind this because of a friendship and wanting to see what could happen. And I'm flipping through this book to see. It has different colors. It just talks about critical alert, cameras recording, processing, function normally, no power, waiting for setup. And then it walks you through the Wi-Fi setup, adding the optional camera, adding the Sinai slide. So you put this inside the water and it's got the chip, and ultimately you're placing the QR code there, the QR code, and you can check, what does it say? All of the monitoring. So just absolutely fantastic for the capabilities. And honestly, the only reason this book is so thick is because it's in like every language. So super cool unboxing. And Jay, what country makes this? So the creator, and to be dead, I'll be totally honest with you. The creator is, and the CEO, one is Tom Lamb. And Tom Lamb is from Canada. And there are folks in the US, there are folks in England that have all played a part and helped design this, but it is manufactured in China. Just like a lot of technology is, because of, I'm not going to get into it. You know why things are manufactured in China. It's just, especially technology. So what is the tag on this? I'm actually not sure. When I backed it, it was very inexpensive. So I would estimate that a full package would be around $600 to $700 just because of the capabilities of it and what it does. But is it for everybody? Absolutely not. I mean, it's not for everybody. So that's one of the things you got to kind of figure it out. But for what it does, when you look at other things on the market, it is not that expensive. So let me kind of circle back here for some questions. So start getting your questions ready. We got about 15 minutes left. I don't ever really time these, but I like to keep it around an hour. And let's see. A lot of questions about Felix. Thank you, Candy, for posting all of these links. That could be cool to use for a time-lapse video of fry growth. Well, absolutely. The other thing is you can use a camera like this. I'm not going to take away from Felix, but this is a GoPro Max, 360-degree camera. It can be put anywhere. It's submersible. It's pretty cool. And the price tag on it is more or about the same as a Felix Smart, but I did get this for very, very inexpensive monies because somebody decided to just open it and they're like, oh man, it's not the GoPro Hero 8. So they took it back like a knucklehead and got the GoPro Hero 8. Well, the store can't sell it for full price. And so I negotiated a little bit And I did not find this. Wendy actually saw it on the bottom of this pedestal in this case and was like, holy cow. And bingo. So really, really cool pickup. All right, let's look at some questions. Felix work on outdoor pond. It would, but you would have to secure Felix because Felix is not watertight. I can tell that by holding it. But it could potentially work for an outdoor pond. You would just have to make sure that in whatever case it was in, that Felix, the actual smart system, was protected, right? So yeah, I would assume that it can go out into a pond as long as the necessary precautions were there. Joe Leone, gotta run. Thank you for everything. Joe, thank you for stopping by. By the way, how is your foot? A fat purple gummy bear is what it is. Candy deleted a fart message. Thank you, Candy. Anyone else's fish go crazy even if you're not near the tank at the exact time you feed them every day? So Jan, that's perfect statement or question, and it is true. You can walk up to your aquarium and the fish will come like they're hungry. But it's not necessarily they're hungry. They're being conditioned in a sense that whenever you come, food gets dropped. So fish have this mental capacity, which is actually kind of astonishing and deep, where at the same time every day, they will put themselves in a habitual movement of where they need to go. And that to me is pretty cool. So a lot of fish will do this if you're systematic. My fish, I put the dart and I in a 3-foot aquarium. I put in frog bit, a ton of it, because I was growing it. They ate it. They just monster ate it. And now what? They're just eating frog bit. I'm not feeding them right now. And they go up and grab it when they want. And there's literally almost no frog bit in there. And I put frog bit in there 4 days ago. Jerks. I thought you had my picture framed up behind you. Did you move it to the dartboard? No. Matter of fact, these were hung literally before the live video because it's a barren wall. And I didn't want it to be a barren wall. I actually drew a fake fish tank. And horrible. I'm not an artist, and whatever. But I drew a fish tank, and I was going to tape it on the wall, and I was like, "Wait, there's photos there. Let's just put those up." So that's what we did. And Candy, does Felix talk? Does he sound like Jarvis? I don't think he talks, but if he did, I hope he sounds a little bit like Jarvis. Is it true that Felix is open source and someone could create new apps and sensors to add to the unit? Absolutely. Completely open sourced. I mean, just phenomenally open sourced. And if you don't believe that, go to their website. I talked to Tom Lamb yesterday, and he said it. It is designed to be open source. They want to work with any company or any individual that wants to create something. Now, is 100% of everything going to get approved? Absolutely not. I mean, for anybody to think that 100% acceptance to something like this would happen is no, it won't happen that way. But yes, you can create, and I'm sure there's some sort of process. Peace in mind knowing that your babies, especially expensive babies, is worth every penny. Yeah, it is, but it depends on how you view that, right? That's everybody views that differently. I will never eat gummy bears again. Thank you, Multiple Aquariums, for another super chat. I greatly appreciate that. Is the camera PTZ? So for those that don't know what PTZ is, that is pan to zoom. I don't know. I don't know if I wish Tom Lamb was in here, but he's not. Maybe he'll be able to answer that in comments later. But if somebody wants to jump on that website for me real quick and tell me, that would be great. But based on what I see here, no. And the reason why I think that is because, have you seen my 360 camera? I mean, look at this thing. Longer than my arm's length. It's nuts. So for that, no. I don't think so. And do you really want this in your aquarium all the time? Like, I don't know. And will I like it in my camera? In my fish tank? I have no idea. But that remains to be seen. And maybe I can figure out how to hide it with a rock or some plants. Pan, tilt, zoom, all of those things. But yes, and it's, I don't know, I think somebody that manufactured this put their hair tie on here. So yeah, Felix is great in terms of its application, its abilities, and its idea. Does it live up to what it's supposed to do? I don't know. George Farmer, I believe, posted his video already. I haven't checked it out, but we shall see. All right, I'll take some crazy questions. Anything you want. Honestly, anything you want. Anything you want to know. But I've got some pretty cool things in the works. The vivarium's still working. A paludarium's still in the works. That's happening. It's just a time constraint thing. All these new lights that I'm getting are something that I've been working on for quite a bit of time now. I wanted to make sure that I could be with a company that had all of the things that I would need in terms of coral growth, plant growth, color for fish, just ultimate natural color, some controllability, but it doesn't have to be massive controllability because at the end of the day, I don't use that massive controllability. And that's not to say that I don't like any of the lights that I have now. I just enjoy a seamless effect of one manufacturer. And I'm finding that difficult in everything that I'm doing in terms of paludariums, vivariums, aquariums, plants, fish only, coral. It's very hard to find the right stuff, baby. So I found the company. They're wonderful. Matter of fact, they emailed me. Let me see what they said. Give me a couple days to put everything together, and we'll rock from here. So I'll give you some insight of what I sent them. And it's basically 24 by 18 by 18 frameless aquarium saltwater, 72-22 frameless freshwater, 36-22-22 frameless freshwater, 36 by 18 by 18 vivarium, 36 by 18 by 18 vivarium, and a 48 by 24 by 36 paludarium, and a 12 by 9 by 9 desktop aquarium. But we'll see. So I'm excited. The lights are not overpriced. They don't have a ton of crazy tech that you would never use. So we'll see. And once that happens, we'll talk about it. But I want to make sure that I work through this in the proper way and I get all the information. Who is your favorite Ninja Turtle? Leonardo, hands down. It'll never change. Who is your favorite film director? Oh, I don't know. I guess it would depend on the genre of movie. So I love James Cameron because I loved Avatar. But I loved Avatar for far more than just Avatar itself. Like that concept started in the 70s and he didn't have the technology to do the movie. I actually did a college report on that movie and technology because I was so fascinated by James Cameron's vision for what it was. It's James Cameron, let's just say. I might have missed it, but that wall behind is long. What's the tank footprint? What's your next fish in mind? So this will be the 72-22-22. As far as fish, it's going to be tropheus. And I want it to pop, but I also want the fish to grow within that aquarium. And I want to create something really neat. So we'll see. And maybe that'll change. Maybe I'll say, no, I want to do tropheus in 36-22-22, and I could do a really cool colony and it'll just be them, and then I can move the catfish and the dardanite back here and then do something else. I don't know. It's a lot of research. I don't have a lot of my books anymore. I was told that they're just gone. So I'm redoing research, and I got to get some books back so that I can continue reading habitat and things like that. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? Green. I have no idea. I would almost their speed would probably be 20-something miles an hour. Check that. Oh, somebody said 45. Dang it. No, seriously, I want to know. I say 20, 25 miles an hour. Somebody said Quentin Tarantino is their favorite director. Now, that is a very unique director in what he does. 356 miles an hour? Dang it. How do you drive with your bad ankle? I don't. I drive an automatic. So I don't need both feet. I can rest it on the left. However, I don't drive most of the places. Wendy does amazing things for me. Casey Reef's in the house. What's going on? Look at Candy. She knew right away it was my left. The Google machine tells me 24 miles an hour. Bang! What is up? What is your favorite book? Loaded question. Very loaded question, because I think a book that is a wonderful guide is the Bible. It's beyond a religion thing. If you read it, if you want to be like anybody in the world, Jesus is a phenomenal person to be like. But everybody goes Old Testament. I'm not going to get religious, but Old Testament is far different than the New Testament. But when you read that book, there's a lot of impactful things in there. But as far as a regular read, a book that always comes to mind is 1,000 Splendid Suns, S-U-N-S. It was from the author of Kite Runner. This message was held for review. Do me a favor and smash the like button. Thanks, YouTube. All right. Somebody wants to know the speed of an African sparrow or European. Don't tell me. Top speed of a sparrow, 29 miles an hour. Hit me with it. I don't know why we're doing this, by the way. But wow, you just won my loyalty 100%. I'm okay. I'm awesome. Loyalty is something wonderful in today's world. And we'll get to that in a second, because loyalty means something different to me than it does to a lot of people. What is your military story? I did 10 years myself. All right, so I'll end with this. Unless somebody's got a crazy off-the-wall question that we can answer, this is pretty powerful for me. 13 years I spent total time. I joined December 11th, 2001. I always get it confused with D-Day. I left right before my birthday. Fishroom Fever, thanks for another great stream. I've been watching for Felix for some time. I really enjoyed the unboxing. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. And enjoy your zebra plecos from Exotic Aquatics in Colorado. I pay attention. Okay, so here's the deal. I spent 13 years in the military. I had I shouldn't say crappy. I had a very unique upbringing. My parents were alcoholics and drug addicts. Matter of fact, my dad died of congestive heart failure while he was living with me in Florida when I was in the military due to all of the stress that he put on his body. My dad's been to many rehabs at this point. He is clean and sober for the most part. That would change. My mom, she's on the highway to hell, so to speak. I realized that if I was going to do anything, it was going to have to be athletically, because academically, I was not into school the way I should have been because of distractions. Now, yes, it was an excuse, but two, I just was not wanting to be there. So a friend of mine said that he was going to make so much money joining the military and he was going to buy a Ferrari. That was his plan. What? Whoa, dude, I'm totally in. So go down to the recruiters, do the whole thing, join the military. I ended up joining the Navy for a specific reason. I actually wanted to be a Navy SEAL, and that's what was pitched to me, but I had to go to basic training first. So I selected a job called Master at Arms. It's a military police officer in the Navy. It was a very much needed job because of September 11th, and that was another reason that steered me to join the Navy. But my main purpose was I needed to get out of the place I was at, and I needed to be on my own and to start my life. Because if I didn't, I was going to be sucked into all the crap. I'm from a town called Naugatuck in Connecticut. its nickname is the Suck. And I didn't want to be sucked into that life. So I decided to make a drastic decision, leave all of my friends, leave all of my family, and go. Matter of fact, I left everything, literally. It probably impacted a lot of friendships and my family, but I was selfish in a very positive light. So I join, I go to basic training, and are you still friends with that individual? Question mark. Actually, no, we lost contact. He got out before I did, and I happily enjoyed every aspect of it. I didn't want to get out. So the movie, this is a crazy story. So the movie that I watched right before I left for basic training was Pearl Harbor with Ben Affleck. I think Ben Affleck was in that movie. But Cuba Gooding Jr. is in it, and he plays the Master Chief that shoots from the tower. Well, my recruiter said, I can't promise you things like I can send you to Pearl Harbor. So now I've heard Pearl Harbor twice. Guess where my first duty station was? Pearl Harbor. But it wasn't supposed to be. It was actually supposed to be Little Creek, Virginia. I was going to go to a special task force. And I got trumped, so to speak, by somebody with higher rank that was a little bit butthurt that I did better academically than he did. So that's the start of how I learned I have to be savvy. I have to be aware of what's happening. I have to plan 3 steps ahead, because ultimately I need to navigate that way, because there's going to be a lot of people pulling me back and people trying to jump in front of me. He never got that Ferrari, by the way. However, I think he got far more than what a Ferrari would provide. So after Pearl Harbor, as I got there, it was mundane, right? Gate checking, cars. I needed a challenge. I got accepted to Harbor Patrol. I drove Harbor Patrol boats for 1.5 years, 2 years almost. Became a supervisor there, got promoted really fast, and then I selected K-9 school. I was going. Then last minute, somebody took it from me. And they took it because they had 6 months more left on their contract than I did, even though I was willing to renew. It was another lesson. Don't believe everything you hear. But this was a sign of letdown after letdown of people promising things. And so long story short, I ended up making my own future by taking this random position in Florida, which turned out to be the greatest single-handed decision I have ever made in my entire life. And it was executive protection, also known as protective service detachment. At the time, there was less than 50 sailors in the United States Navy that did this job. And I was the first permanent one at Central Command, which is where Tommy Franks, if anybody's familiar with history, General Abizaid, it is war headquarters. It is in Tampa, Florida, located off of MacDill, and it's MacDill Air Force Base. I did a lot of traveling to the Middle East. I did a lot of missions, was in a lot of cool stuff, a lot of not so cool stuff, and then I got sick. A lot of head stuff, a lot of concussions, but then I got better, fought it, and ended up in Saudi Arabia for a year, came back home and ended up in Pearl Harbor again, but working directly for the 4-star in charge of Pacific Command. And that's really it. I learned a lot, executive. I learned a lot about government. I learned a lot about what's happening now in politics and election years and what goes on, and the military's push left to right, up and down. And it's fantastic. I met a lot of great people. And ultimately, I learned a lot of things that I didn't know I was capable of. I learned a lot of things that I didn't think physically, emotionally, and mentally I was capable of doing. And ultimately, I crushed it, so to speak. And I sit here now knowing that I can sew a button on a piece of clothing. People say, oh, that's corny, whatever. I don't know. I iron my own clothes. I wash my own laundry if I have to. I am self-sufficient. I improvise, I can adapt, and I can overcome. And so when I get out into the real world, I realized that it was very difficult for me to adapt because nobody was doing their job. And so that's another reason why I like the New England Patriots, which people hate on that for against me, because it's a saying by Bill Belichick, do your job. If you do your job, whatever it is, if you do your job as a father, if you do your job as a friend, if you do your job as manager of this, if you do your job as employee of this, or business owner of this. If you freaking do your job, you will find that the reward is far better. Can you do more than your job? Absolutely. Should you do less than your job? Never. Unless you are a lazy person and you don't care about anything and you don't care about the people around you. Because regardless of what you think, and we're ending with this because now I'm fired up. Regardless of what you think, when you don't give 100%, people say you got to give 110% when you go out there, bucko, go get them. All right. There's no 110%. There's literally 100% capacity of your energy level, right? Now, I understand the concept behind 110%, but if we gave 110% to practice, right? Not Allen Iverson. We're not talking about practice. We're talking about legit. We're talking about practice. If I went outside and practiced hitting a baseball for 3 hours a day, is it going to make me better? Absolutely. But we're missing it because we're only practicing. Did you give 110%, 100% of yourself into that practice? Or was it just a 50% like, yeah, I'm just going to take my hacks here, guy, and hit the ball over the fence there, get to my softball league, have a couple brewskis. I'm a big Busch Light fan, right? Bang, crush it over the right field wall. I'm balling, right? We go for pizza, we're hanging out, chicks all over me, or dudes all over. It doesn't matter. No, because I was taught a long time ago, perfect practice makes perfect. And so I take the perfect out because I don't truly believe anything is ever perfect. I truly believe that if you give 100% in whatever you do, including practice, you will find that you will get 100% back into what you put in. And if you don't believe me, don't do it for a long time. And then watch the people around you that were counting on you, legit counting on you to get something done. They may never tell you. The people that were watching you, that were cheering you on, and you just gave up. Or when everything was stacked against you and you had so many people standing there with you that could have helped you get over the wall, but you just looked and said, that's going to require way too much effort. I'm going to go play Dungeons and Dragons instead. Or Fortnite with my super expansion Farmville pack. We got to change that. We ultimately have to change that. Now, whether you're moving fish tanks or you're setting up fish tanks or you're mowing your lawn or you're washing your car, why are you not paying attention to detail when you're doing it? Because when you pay attention to the details, the bigger things fall into place. And I learned that day one of the military. And I've had a lot of head trauma, 8 concussions to be exact, and lots of falls, lots of things that have transpired. But there are plenty of things that I still remember. I still remember the Sailor's Creed. I still remember paying attention to detail. And I still remember that my unit number was 098, and our motto was we bend, but we don't break. And I actually get sentimental every single time I say it because I had no idea that in 2001, 3 Black recruit division commanders, and I say this because they were far harder on everyone than I could have possibly seen. And it was because most of them were either boatswain's mates or cooks, because that's what they came in as. And I developed friendships with them after basic training. And I give you this because one of them had a crooked finger. And when he would salute, he would salute with this crooked finger. And he used to call me Super Chuck. And he whispered in my ear, he said, we bend, we don't break, not now, but forever. The power and impact in that statement, which, led me to a couple of cool things. I won the Military Excellence Award at a basic training, and to go on and to really achieve what I achieved and the people that I've got to wrap myself around and surround myself with. But then to be in situations in life where I have bent to the breaking point, but haven't broke. That's it. He was training me for 12 weeks. It's supposed to be 8 weeks, but my dumb self went in during all the holidays. He trained me for situations that I never knew were going to happen. And he didn't either, but he knew something was going to happen. So I leave you with this: bend. Bend a lot, but please, 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 please don't break. And it's up to you if you break or not. And it could be from bullying. It could be from financial stress. It could be from marital stress. It could be from relationship stress. It could be from thinking that you have nothing in the world for yourself. Maybe you don't feel you belong here. Trust me, you do. Everyone has a purpose. Everyone. Regardless if you think you're a cog in the wheel, even a cog in a wheel has a purpose when you rip away the layers. But bend. And bend often. You know, I'll use this. I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm always going to wear a mask. I'm not going to wear a mask and you can't make me. You know what? Bend, people. Bend. I don't think you should keep those fish with that fish. Bend. Doesn't mean you have to agree each and every time. But by bending, you are learning so many different things about someone else, a culture, a race, a system, a thought process. And now you're taking it in and you're learning and you're becoming better and you're preparing yourself for something far greater than a moment where Costco tells you, membership card, mask, please. I'm not going to wear this mask. Bend. I didn't say that you were succumbing to all of the nitty gritties. But sometimes we got to bend. The only thing you shouldn't bend on is your choice of ice cream. I'm a chocolate guy all day long. I will never steer from it. And anybody that knows me knows that to be a fact. So that's it. Bend in everything. Don't be walked all over. But just remember, you're far stronger when you bend. Clearly, it didn't break. And neither should you. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to sit with me and enjoy some seriousness. Fab4 said I'm not going to wear a mask. You don't have to. Made me stronger, made you stronger, showed you what you're capable of. There's a lot of things that show us what we're capable of. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your service. It wasn't even a service. It was something that I enjoyed doing. I didn't want to get out either. Being airborne in the Army, one bad jump and your career is over. I still miss it to this day. Absolutely. Tomorrow I'll be at the VA. I'm going to make it a point just to say thank you and maybe hold a door. Actually, I do want to tell you one last thing for those that are still here. I went to take photos with Wendy at the Wichita Mountain Wildlife Refuge. And we had to get gas on the way. And even though I knew it would suck to try to pump gas, I still felt the need that I had to pump gas. Well, and he's like, no, I'm pumping gas. You've got your messed up foot. And I'm like, no, at least let me get out. I'll get the bugs off the window. I have to do something. So I'm doing that. This guy gets out of his truck, not even from the driver's seat, from the passenger seat. There was 3 other people in the car, and he looked at me and he said, you need help? No, I don't. But dang sure appreciate you asking, because I don't know where else people would ask. Sometimes that goes a really, really long way. And then he pumped gas, got back in his car, wasn't driving, and they drove away. And I talked about it for 3 freaking days after. Talk about impact. Tomorrow, impact somebody in a positive manner. Holly Gibbs, I ended up here today for some strange reason. By the grace of God, thank you, Jay. You're an inspiration. Just telling stories. They just happen to be true. You know what's next.